Hello and welcome to this second exploring session looking at the Three Lords and Three Ladies of London by Robert Wilson. This is a play from around 1588-ish, from sometime after the death of Richard Tarleton and before its printing in 1590. It is an interesting play so far. It would be fair to say the room hasn't quite got a handle on it yet. It's definitely got some good wit action going on, but not a lot of actual action going on. And if you really want to know where we are with the text, I do suggest going back and watching the previous video, or for that matter going back to the previous play, The Three Ladies of London, of which this is a sequel, though the play so far has explained what happened, or at least last time, in relation to what's happening in this play reasonably well, so you don't necessarily need to do that. You can just go back to the beginning of this play. To continue our journey through the play, we're a little over a third of the way through the text. We got through more text yesterday than we expected. And we have this team of readers to try and stumble our way through the story so far. So we've got a lot of extreme doubling going on. Hopefully it all works. Reading Fraud and Pleasure today is...
Hello, I'm Eleanor. I'm an actor, singer and producer based in Suffolk.
Reading Simplicity and possibly Shealty today as well is...
I'm Aliki Chapple. I'm an actor, translator, and increasingly writer based in the north of England.
Reading in Love, Honest Industry, Diligence, and Constable, if we get there, is...
Hi, I'm Eric, and I'm sure we're going to be confused by the end of this.
Absolutely. Sole purpose of visit. Reading Simony, Policy, and Penury today is...
Hi, my name's Simon Nader, and I'm an actor, writer, and director based in Dublin.
Reading Lucre, Falsehood, and Fealty, if we get there, is...
Hi, I'm Lynn. I teach college writing in the northwestern United States.
Reading Usury and Pomp today is...
Hi, I'm Alan Scott. I'm neither an actor nor an academic, but I'm based in Suffolk.
Reading Dissimulation, Nemo, and Pride is...
I'm Steve Longstaffe, scholar of early modern drama based in Lancaster in the UK.
Reading Conscience, Pure Zeal, and Wit today is...
Lois. I'm another scholar of early modern drama living in London.
And I'm your host, Robert Crighton. I'll be reading Double-dealing and Sincerity and juggling with the stage directions as well. So, yes, there are three ladies. They are Conscience, Love, and Lucre. Ladies, Conscience, Love, and Lucre. There are also three lords, Policy, Pomp, and Pleasure. You may notice an alliterative thing going on. Policy, Pomp, and Pleasure also have three servants, most of whom you won't see today, Will, Wit, and Wealth. And there are other teams of threes occurring as well. The three ladies previously had servants from the last play who were all vice characters: Fraud, Simony, and some other Usury and something else, Dissimulation. And there's also a judge, or he was a judge last time, Nemo. And we're going to start the play from where we left off. The various followers of the three ladies, having repented, they cast off their vice-like usury followers, and the three ladies are sitting on stones on stage. They are sitting in this sort of penance spot set out for them by Nemo, and Nemo now enters and has a little chat with the three ladies on stage. So if we can find Nemo and begin from his line.
Conscience, love, Lucre, ladies all, what cheer? How do ye like the seats you sit upon?
Oh, pure, unspotted Nemo, sole paragon of love, of conscience and perfection. The marble of remorse I sit upon sweats scalding drops like bitter, brinish tears.
So should remorse when conscience feels her guilt. But, gentle love, how feelest thou thy flint?
Oh, sharp and cold, I freeze unto my seat. The flint holds fire, and yet I feel no heat, but am benumbed and frozen every joint.
Oh, love, so cold is charity in these times. Lucre, how sit you?
Upon a heavy stone, not half so cold, not half so hot as theirs, but of some secret power, for I do find and sensibly feel that I from it exhale an earthly cold, and it from me doth draw a kindly heat.
Such force hath care of lucre in itself, to cool the heart and draw the vital spirits, and such the true condition of you three: remorse of conscience, charity of love, and care of lucre, such your uses be. But ladies, now your sorrow lay aside, frolic, fair dames, an unexpected good is imminent through me unto you all. 3 lords there be, your native countrymen, in London bred as you yourselves have been, which covet you for honourable wives, and presently will come to visit you. Be not abashed at your base attire. I shall provide you friends to deck you all. If I command, stand up, else sit you still. Lo, where they come.
I'm just going to pause there, because the 3 lords now enter. But this actually acts quite nicely as a nice, neat little prologue for where the play is at, because it has the 3 ladies with their... One's very hot stone, one's a very cold stone, and the other one seems to breathe in and out, hot and cold. I'm not sure how the last stone functions.
The third one is just right.
Yeah. I mean, I really love Conscience's line. The marble of remorse I sit upon, sweats scalding drops like bitter brinish tears. It's got a really nice punch to it. And then Nemo just goes, and okay, that's your penance done. And now, happy times. Here are coming some 3 lords to woo you. Aren't I nice? And yeah, so it sets up the play. You could almost not have the last session, I think. You could probably just start here. I think that would work perfectly well. You've got all you need to go on. I'm joking, largely. Any brief thoughts about that little prologue, as it were, to this section? Yeah, Lois.
Well, he's a bit of a control freak. He tells them that they can stand up when he tells them to, but otherwise they better sit still.
Yes, it's the way that he's sort of set this up, and yes, you can woo the ladies, but it's not like I'm just going to release them. They've got to sit on some stones and do this thing, and I've got to be here to help stage manage everything. It's not sure what anybody's motives anywhere of this is. It's not really been revealed. Other thoughts?
I'm curious that the 2 of the 3 stones are specified and the third isn't. We have marble, flint, and
a heavy stone. As opposed to all those really light stones. Lynn.
I have a vague memory that somebody, when we were doing the 3 Ladies of London, mentioned that Nemo means something like nobody.
Yep.
Am I making that up, or
no? Latin for no one.
So yeah, maybe it was Helen who said that. So I don't know, just worth mentioning. Nemo means no one.
Yes. So can no one have a motivation?
Motivation.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, we'll move into the scene proper now. Just wanted to help bed where we are. So the 3 lords now enter, and Nemo sort of speaks at them.
My lords, the dames be here.
Why are they wimpled? Shall they not unmask them?
It is for your sake. For policy they do it.
Much may their fortune and their feature be, but what it is we cannot thus discern.
You shall in time, Lord Pomp. Be ye yet content?
Their fame is more than cause or reason would. May one of these be pleasure's paragon?
Pleasure, be pleased, and use no prejudice. Mesdames, stand up. Mislike not their attire. That shall be mended as yourselves desire.
Their port and their proportion well contents.
Right stately dames, if they were well attired.
May we not see their beauty, what it is?
Yes, lordings, yes. Lucre, lift up thy veil.
Of beauty, excellent.
Of rare perfection.
A dainty face.
Unmask love.
Sweet love indeed.
A lovely face.
Oh, a gallant grace.
Conscience, uncover.
Beauty divine.
A face angelical.
Sweet creature of the world.
Enough for once. Ladies, sit down again. As cunning chapmen do by curious wares, which seldom shown to most inflame the mind, so must I deal, being dainty of these dames, who seldom seen shall best allure these lords. A while, my lords, I leave you with these three. Confer on good conditions. I will right soon return with such good friends as it concerns to clothe these dainty ones. If any in my absence visit them, know their intent and use your skill therein.
Exit Nemo.
Ladies, to call to mind your former lives were to recount your sorrows on a row. Omitting, then, what you have been or be, what you may be, I'll speak, so it please you. Wives, to us three, ladies to London lords, pomp, pleasure, policy, men of such regard as shall you guard from evil once matched with us, and policy presents this good to you.
With London's pomp may one of you be joined, possessing more than fortune can afford. Fortune's a fool, but heavenly providence guards London's pomp and her that shall be his.
And London's pleasure, peerless in delights, will deign to make one of these dames his own, who may with him in more contentment live than ever did the Queen of Ethiop.
Though silence, lords, our modesty and force, Nemo can tell the secrets of our thoughts. Nemo, that women's minds can constant keep. He shall for us you answer, good my lords. I speak for all, though ill beseeming me.
And enter Falsehood and Double-dealing.
You speak but well. My lords, step we aside to note these fellows, what they do intend.
And also re-enter Nemo.
Nemo can tell, for he does follow them.
Ladies, to some of you we come, sent from such friends as much affect your good, with garments and with compliments of cost, accordant well to dames of such degree. I come to Lucre.
And I to love am sent, with no less cost than could be got for coin, which with my message I deliver would, could I discern which of these dames were she.
Friend, I am love. What bringest thou there to me?
Beware, good love, from whom and what thou takest.
A whispering, friend, but show it openly. The matter good, you need not be ashamed. From whom comest thou?
That I conceal from any but from love.
From whom come you, sir?
That shall Lucre know, and none but she.
Well, speak aloud, for whispering here is barred.
Then neither will I do, nor speak at all.
Then will I speak, and tell what you are both. Thyself art falsehood, and are sent from fraud, to compass Lucre with a cloak of craft, with lawn of lies, and calls of golden guile.
Pack you, my friend, for if you stay a while, you shall return no more to him that sent you.
Thou from Dissimulation art sent, and bringst a gown of glosing, lined with lust, a vardingale of vain boast, and a fan of flattery, a ruff of riot, a cap of pride, and double-dealing is thy name, and office both.
Falsehood, let's go, we are deciphered.
Lucre, thou losest here a princely gift.
And they exit.
Lucre consumes, being won by fraud or shift. Thus, lords, you see how these are qualified, and how these ladies shun that sharp rebuke, which some deserve by taking of such toys, as women weak are tempted soon with gifts. But here they come, that must these ladies deck. Lucre, arise, come from the stone of care.
And enter honest industry, pure zeal, and sincerity.
Fair Lucre, lo, what honest industry to thee hath brought to deck thy dainty self. Lucre by honest industry achieved shall prosper, nourish, and continue long. Come to thy chamber to attire thee there.
Thou mayst depart with honest industry.
And exit Lucre with honest industry.
And love, arise from charity's cold flint. Pure zeal hath purchased robes to cover love. Whiles love is single, zeal shall her attire with kind affection, mortifying lust. Come, love, with me these garments to put on.
Love, follow zeal, and take his ornaments.
And exit love with pure zeal, leaving sincerity. Rise, conscience, from that marble of remorse, that weeping stone that scalds thy parched skin. Sincerity such robes for thee have brought, as best beseems good conscience to adorn. Come, fellow, that thou mayest go put them on. For conscience, clothed by sincerity, is armed well against the enemy.
Follow him, conscience. Fear not. Thou art right.
Exit conscience with sincerity.
Most Reverend Nemo, thanks for this good sight. Lucre is clothed by honest industry.
Love by pure zeal.
And conscience by sincerity.
Lordings, thus have you seen them at the first, and thus you see them, trust me, at the worst. Depart we now. Come hence a day or two, and see them decked as dainty ladies should, and make such choice as may content you all.
Thanks, righteous Nemo. We, the London lords, only to thee ourselves acknowledge bound.
And they all exit, and I'm calling that the end of a scene. It's, by our reckoning, scene 3, but by other reckonings, that might be the end of scene 4. Yeah, lots of things going on there. It's interesting, Nemo gives us some sense of what his game's about. He talks to the audience briefly. You know, is he sort of in charge of the rehabilitation centre? You know, is he the parole officer? Saying, you know, got to make sure they get a good influence here. So he sends Double-dealing and Falsehood out packing, but allows the 3 ladies to go off with honest industry, pure zeal, and sincerity for their rehabilitation before they can go and do some flirting with the men. Because they conscience sort of puts the men off for the moment. You know, it's all down to Nemo. We've got to talk to our parole board. Lois.
Yeah, I mean, Nemo's name is sometimes significant and sometimes not, as far as I can see. I mean, it was significant in the first play. As I recall, there was somebody who was terribly nice to the poor, and that turned out to be someone named Nemo. In other words, nobody is kind to the poor, and he may or may not have been this Judge Nemo. But then here, I mean, it's clear that what conscience was saying early on, you know, Nemo knows what's in women's minds. Nemo is constant, is a constant woman. I mean, that clearly means, you know, nobody knows what's in women's minds, and no women are constant. And yet the rest of the time, he seemed to be playing, you know, as you say, more like the patrol board role.
Yeah, because it's interesting. He's the one who sends them up there, and the men are just sort of watching. You know, it's like, no, you can't cross the velvet rope. No touching. Yeah, you come back later. We'll get them some nice clothing. They get this weird sort of again. We were talking sort of blind date quality, which really comes with the lifting of the veil moment, isn't it? It's like, and here's what you could have won quality to that, which is yeah. There's lots of interesting, weird parallels with today, as well as being quite strange as well. Other thoughts in the room? Lynn.
I just wanted to say that I really enjoyed the clothing and textile metaphors. It seems to me the early modern period was a time when people were really, really interested and kind of maybe a little obsessed with clothing. So many sumptuary laws passed in those decades. The lawn of lies, and lawn, just for those at home, is a very fine, lightweight linen that would be used for, like, undergarments. And actually, I don't know what a caul is, but cloaks and cauls and ruffs and fans. So this sort of obsession with clothing, and then clothing as falsehood. Yeah, I'm an old costume designer, so I just was attracted to that little passage.
Yeah, there's two things sort of that's really interesting. I mean, it's a callback to sort of morality plays where the whole thing about different cloaks you put on, the clothes you put on to disguise yourself or to signify that you are a changed and reformed person. So when you've got falsehood and double dealing coming in with this new clothing for them to wear, which will send them down the path of sin and danger. But also the play seems really interested in the clothing all the way through. The stage directions keep referring to the quality of the clothing. The three lords are given very specific directions as to what they're wearing at the very beginning. So it seems a continual thing that the playwright's going for.
Wasn't it in Three Ladies, the play, the prequel to this, where someone had to pawn her gown for rent? So yeah, the focus on clothing was in the related play as well.
Yeah. Alan?
Yeah, I mean, caul would be a gauze in the same sense as it is in the culinary term. So again, it's another very fine fabric.
Lovely. Other thoughts about this particular little sequence? Eric?
It feels a bit like grooming, sort of like grooming them for the role of, like, even if they're not children, like child brides kind of thing.
It's a makeover.
Uh-huh.
It felt so uncomfortable reading that.
Yeah.
Like, there was a bit of like that moment that we've been waiting for, and I was like, oh, here it is. Okay, we're going for it.
No, trust me, we haven't got to it yet.
Oh, it's becoming worse? Oh, settle in, lads. It's a bumpy ride.
Yeah, the having the men just standing there going, "Oh, beauty, excellent! Oh, rare perfection! A dainty face," and it's it's just for all three. I mean, at least they don't disagree. It wouldn't be, it would have been awkward if someone went. Alan.
I'm just wondering whether the winners will be announced in reverse order, as used to happen in the Miss World contest.
Yeah, well, if we wanted to go for a political parallel, that one would be really, that would be really going for it, wouldn't it? Okay, I think we should move on into what I'm for the moment calling scene 3. So we have Simplicity and his wife come on. So we have the return of Simplicity and painful Penury. So Simon, you're his wife.
Painful Penury, is there any other kind? Come on, gentle husband, let us lay our heads together, our purses together, and our reckonings together, to see whether we win or lose, thrive or not, go forward or backward. Do you keep a book or a score?
A score, wife? You mean for the alehouse, do you not? I would have her examine me thereof no further, for I am too far in there, more than I would she should know.
I mean no alehouse score, but a note of your wares. Let me see. First, you began to set up with a royal. How much money have you? What ware and what gain?
I have 5 shillings in money, 2 shillings in wares, or thereabout, and I owe 2 shillings and 8 pence upon the score. How much is that? 5 shillings, 2 shillings and 8 pence. Yeah.
That is 9 shillings and 8 pence. So we are worse by a groat than when we began. Well, once again, I'll set ye up. Here is 4 groats I have got by bearing water this week. Make up your stock and run no more behind. Who comes here?
Enter fraud like a foreign artificer.
What like ye? What do you like?
Me lack de monish but de fine, very fine French neck, de fine gold button, de brave boucle lace, a de fine gold ringer. You be free, man, me un foreigner. You buy me a wear, you gain £10 by layout 10 shillings.
Wife, what hard luck we have, that we cannot make 10 shillings now to gain £10. Oh, £10 would set us up forever.
Husband, see the ware, and if 10 shilling will buy it, it shall go hard, but we will make that money. Friend, show my husband your wares.
Look you there, master, des fine button de la gold, de ring de la gold, de boulachine, 2 shilling un dozen de button, 1 shilling a un ring, it is worth 10 shilling. But master and master sir, me must make money to go over in my own country. But me lose £10, Paul has to go next tide or tomorrow.
Here is 5 shillings. Buy them off this stranger.
Friend, you have not stolen them, but you make them? Well, I'll buy them in the open market, and that I care not. Here is 10 shilling. Deliver me the wares.
Ah, the master, up of necessity, make me sell for grand loss. You shall gain £10 at least. Oh, good boy.
What's your name?
Merchant, I think I am even with ye now for calling me ostler. You'll thrive well with such bargains. If ye buy, you know not what. Fraud hath fitted you with worse than your balance.
You'll warrant them gold, sirrah.
Oh, oui, so good gold as you pay for. Adieu, monsieur.
And exits.
Adieu, monsieur. Adieu, fool. Sell such gold buttons and rings for so little money. Good Lord, what pennyworths these strangers can afford. Now, wife, let me see. £10. When we have £10, we'll have a large shop and sell all manner of wares and buy more of these and get £10 more, and then £10 and £10 and £20. Then thou shalt have a taffeta hat and a garden gown, and I a gown and a new cap, and a silk doublet, and fair hose.
I thank ye, husband. Well, till then, look well to your wares, and I'll ply my water-bearing, and save and get and save till we be rich. But bring these wares home every night with ye.
Tush, I shall sell them afore night for £10. Go, wife, go. I may tell you I am glad this French fellow came in with these wares. We had fallen to examining the ale score else, and then we'd fallen out, and the alewife and my wife had scolded. Well, a man may see, he that's ordained to be rich shall be rich. Go, woman!
And they exit. All sorts of interesting things going on here. So fraud is fraudulently pretending to be a foreign maker of goods, and saying, "Look, it's a bargain if you buy my wares at this price. You'll make a tidy profit." Which is probably one of those attacks that Robert Wilson really is eager on going on about foreign goods coming into the country and putting out of work local good British workers. Rah, 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 rah. The fact that it's fraud who's pretending to be this kind of figure, it makes it doubly worse because he can be in a ridiculously over-the-top French stereotype because he's someone pretending to be French, and therefore it's fine. Guilt-free, he said. Discuss. Yeah, it's really interesting, Penury and Simplicity. So Simplicity is clearly no businessman at all, and he owes lots of money down the pub. He's got a lot of beer on the slate, and his wife's just going, "Okay, what's the accounting? What is your accounting system here? Oh right, we're worse off than we were when we started. Right, I'm going to give you some money to tide you over, but it's got to last." And who's more stupid, her for giving him more money, or him or her for allowing him to run the business? When clearly he should carry the water. Simon.
Yeah, I was wondering whether simplicity was going to be simplicity of mind or simplicity of a kind of state of being, but I think we know now. And it's obviously I missed yesterday, but from what I've seen and from what we've discussed already, and just from the scenes, I guess that the play is an allegory about maybe not being too attached to things. I'm assuming perhaps we're going to get some sort of moral lecture about how we shouldn't all be Mariah Carey.
I think the thing about simplistic is sometimes he seems to be relatively wise and with it, and I think what it is he always takes people on at face value. You know, he's quite simple in that way. You know, he accepts when someone tells him he is a French, a merchant, and he just accepts. He doesn't question anything, and that's why he keeps falling down these holes. And it's like he's a clown, so he always goes for the most exciting thing. So that's why he's in hock for so much beer. Because yes, I like beer. I will have more beer. I will have more beer. Yes. And he doesn't ask the question, "Do I have any more money?" No, he doesn't ask that question. Eric.
Well, also because his wife had told him in a previous scene not that he can't have dinner and he must fast and pray and stuff. So basically, his conclusion was like, "I'm just gonna have more beer."
Yeah, his wife's clearly a very sensible person. I mean, maybe a bit severe, but clearly the man needs a bit severe. Aliki, then Alan.
So I'm looking at the script here and I'm fascinated by the way that the Cod French dialogue is spelled for fraud. Really, really interesting. Des fines boutons de la gold. Fab. That's all.
And I say it's the fact that it's deliberately over the top as well. That it's, you know, we know it's fraud. We've already met fraud. We know he's not a friend. You know, even though he's, you know, the audience might be confused. He luckily speaks to the audience in an aside to just go, "It is I, fraud." Alan.
Yeah, I mean, before we get too far into the fact that simplicity is dim and his wife's the one with the brains, she actually did urge him to buy the goods. You know, so I don't think you can actually say that he's the complete gull.
Well, it's the thing is, you know, she's looking at a way of getting out of his debts. It does happen even to the best of people. Eric.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say on the accent stuff that last time we had like some sort of pan-European accent that was like Italian mixed in with. If I remember correctly, it was supposed to be an Italian version, but it sounded more like French.
Yeah, we've had one or two of those. You'll have to be more specific as to which play.
In the previous, in the prequel of this.
Oh right, yes, we had that weird merchant, didn't we? Who goes off and confuses the usurer, and is working for Lady Lucre. Yes. So maybe he's worked on his cod accent work since then. You know, it's been about seven years since the last play, so had some time. Other thoughts? Alan again.
Yeah, I mean, basically it seems that there are three types of text that come down to us. There is something which is in something that approximates to normal English. You've then got the cod yokel, who turns up with certain verbal formulations, and you've got the cod foreigner, and basically no distinction between yokels of different parts or foreigners of different parts.
I'm not so sure about that. I mean, sometimes we do have very, very distinct accents. James IV had very distinctive, well-written Scottish accent until the writer couldn't be bothered to write a distinctive Scottish accent and it disappeared. But, you know, it does seem to vary writer to writer. There may be some general conventions, but it's not as consistent as you'd think.
And our cod foreigner here, fraud, is definitely being French, with the le and the grand and the so on.
And it is different to when we've had, we've had Dutch, we've had Italian, though whether we've had Italian debate. So it does seem that they are making some attempt to do different accents. Anyway, anything new about this, Eric?
It still proves the point that Lynn was saying where they're obsessed with clothing, like a gown and a new cap and a silk doublet and a fair hose, and it's like, okay, slow down.
I think that's all about trappings of finery, though, and I just like possessions. It seems to be, as you're saying, it's a sign of status anyway. But I'll be interested to see where we lead now on this.
Well, he also wants to placate his wife and say, "Look, I'll give you some nice clothes if we do this. It'll be great. Because she's got a hard life, and offering something for his wife for once in his life." It's a lovely opportunity for him actually to say, "I'll buy you something nice."
But then I'll buy myself another 5 nice things. So.
Yeah, well, the aside does undermine it somewhat. Beer, more beer. Plus some beer. Wash down with some beer. Anyway, we'll move forward unless there's anything new to say about that. Okay, we're going to return to the 3 lords. We're entering in a sort of mid-scene kind of action. They're having an argument. Enter Nemo and the 3 lords as though they had been chiding.
From whence, good lords, grew this hot argument?
Thou knowest already. Yet if thou wilt hear, for this we strive. Fond pleasure makes account, summing his bills without an auditor, that Lady Lucre ought of right be his.
So I affirm, and so I will maintain, that pleasure ought by right Dame Lucre have to bear the charge of sports and of delights.
Nay, to support the haughty magnificence of lordly pomp of London's excellence, befits it rather Lucre join with me, by whom her honour shall be more advanced.
More fit for pomp than pleasure, but most fit that policy with Lucre should be matched, as guerdon of my studies and my cares and high employments in the Commonwealth.
What pleasure can be fostered without cost?
What pomp or port without respect of gain?
What policy without preferment lives?
Pleasure must have Lucre.
Pomp hath need of Lucre.
Policy merits Lucre.
Pleasure dies without Lucre.
Pomp decays without Lucre.
Policy droops without Lucre.
Thus, lords, you show your imperfections, subject to passions, straining honour's bounds. Be well advised. You promised to be ruled, and have these dames by me disposed to you. Since I see that human humours oft make men forgetful of their greater good, be here a while. Dame Lucre shall be brought by me to choose which lord she liketh best. So you allow her choice with patience.
Go. We abide thy doom till thy return.
And exit Nemo.
If Lucre be not mad, she will be mine.
If she regard her good, she will be mine.
If she love a happy life, she will be mine. Women love pleasure.
Women love
Women
pomp.
use policy. And here she comes, that must decide the doubt.
Enter Nemo with conscience all in white.
Conscience, content thee with a quaint conceit. Conceal thy name to work a special good. Thou art not known to any of these lords by face or feature, till they hear thy name, which must be Lucre, for a fine device, and conscience clear in deeds the greatest gain. Lo, lordings, here fair Lucre, whom ye love. Lucre, the choice is left unto thyself. Which of these 3 thou wilt for husband choose?
The modesty that doth our sex beseem forbids my tongue therein to tell my thought. But may it please my lords to pardon me, which of you 3 shall deign to make such choice, him shall I answer to his own content.
If Lucre please to match with policy, she shall be mistress over many men.
If Lucre like to match with London's pomp, in stately port all others she shall pass.
If pleasure may for fair wife Lucre gain, her life shall be an earthly paradise.
Oh, Lucre, men and port and pleasant life are here propounded. Which wilt thou accept?
Lord Policy, love were the only choice, methinks, for you, that all your cares employ and studies for the love of commonwealth. For you, Lord Pleasure, conscience were a wife to measure your delights by reason's rule, In recreation, conscience help to use.
Were conscience half so sweet as is thyself, her would I seek with suits and service.
No less accomplished in perfection is conscience than this lady, I protest.
But on this dame hath pleasure fixed his heart, and this or death the period of his love.
Lucre with pomp most aptly might combine.
Lucre or love, if case thou wilt be mine, let pass thy name, thyself do I desire. Thee will I have, except thyself deny, with thee to live, or else for thee to die.
What if I deny?
Then will I have her.
If we deny?
So much the rather.
The rather in despite of us? Not so.
My lords, no quarrel. Let this lady go, and if you trust me, I'll content ye both. Pleasure, this is not Lucre.
She's Lucre unto me, but be she love or conscience, this is she.
Whom you will have?
A spite of the devil I will.
Must it not be, my lord, if I agree?
Agree.
Some further proof of it fits you to see.
Receive in pawn my heart, my hand and oath, to be thy own in love, in faith and troth.
Thus you are fast, and yet myself am free.
I know in ruth thou wilt not me refuse.
I know not that, but other I'll not choose.
It is enough. Lord Pleasure, do not fear. Conscience will use you as becomes her best.
And art thou conscience? Oh, welcomer to me than either love or lucre.
God send grace I be.
My lords, be pleased. Ere long shall you be sped, as much to your contents as pleasure is. Say but the word, myself shall soon present Lucre and love, well worthy such as you.
Right, thankfully those favours we'll receive.
And enter Diligence in haste.
My lords, if your affairs in present be not greater than any save regard of life, yea, even the greatest of the Commonwealth, prepare ye to withstand a stratagem, such as this land nor London ever knew. The Spanish forces, lordings, are prepared in bravery and boast beyond all bounds, to invade, to win, and to conquer all this land. They chiefly aim at London's stately pomp, at London's pleasure, wealth, and policy, intending to despoil her of them all, and over all these lovely ladies three. Love, lucre, conscience of the rarest price, to tyrannize and carry hardest hand. From Spain they come, with engine and intent to slay, subdue, triumph, and torment. Myself, so heaven would, espial of them had, and Diligence, dear lords, they call my name. If you vouchsafe to credit my report, you do me right, and to yourselves no wrong. Proved that you arm you, being warned.
Diligence, thy service shall be known and well rewarded. Nemo, for a time, conceal this dame, and live secure, unseen. Let us alone, whom most it doth concern, to meet and match her, overweening foes.
Nemo, keep close, and Conscience, pray for us. Begone, and recommend us to our God.
My lords, if ever, show your honours now. Those proud usurping Spanish tyrants come to reave from you what most you do regard, to take away your credit and your fame, to raise and spoil our right renowned town. And if you love or lucre do regard, or have of conscience any kind of care, the world shall witness by this action. And of the love that you to us pretend, in this your valor shall assurance give. More would I speak, but danger's in delay. You know my mind, and heavens record my thoughts, which I with prayers for you will penetrate, and will in heart be present in your fight. Now, Pleasure, show what you will do for me.
Oh, I will be turned to pain for thy sweet sake.
Fair Conscience, fear not, but assure thyself what kind affection we soever bear to love and lucre in this action, chiefly for thee our service shall be done.
Conscience' sake more than for lucre now.
For love and conscience, not despising lucre.
Oh, only for conscience will I hazard all.
And I from hence will her convey a space, till you return with happy victory.
Farewell, my lords. For me, for me, for me.
Exeunt Nemo and Conscience.
Diligence. What number may there be?
A mighty host, and chiefly led by three, who brave it out in show as men assured of victory, sans venture or repulse.
How near be they?
So near, my lords, that each delay is death. Stand on your guard, they come as challengers to bruise your shields and bear away your prize, mounting the seas and measuring the land with strong imaginations of success.
Well, Diligence, go get in readiness, men and munition. Bid our pages ply to see that all our furniture be well, wit, wealth, and will to further wars be fit.
Exit Diligence.
My lords, I might advise you now to carry, as it were, a careless regard of these Castilians and their accustomed bravado. Lord Pomp, let nothing that's magnifical or that may tend to London's graceful state be unperformed. As shows and solemn feasts, watches in armour, triumphs, crescent lights, bonfires, bells, and peals of ordnance, and pleasure, see that plays be published, May games and masks, with mirth and minstrelsy, pageants and school feasts, bears and puppet plays. Myself will muster upon Mile End Green, as though we saw and feared not to be seen, which will their spies in such a wonder set to seek us, to see us wrecked so little such a foe, whom all the world admires, save only we. And we respect our sport more than his spite, that John the Spaniard will in rage run mad to see us bend like oaks with his vain breath.
In this device such liking I conceive, as London shall not lack what Pomp can do. And well I know that worthy citizens do carry minds so frank and bountiful, as for their honour they will spare no cost, especially to let their enemy know honour in England, not in Spain.
And for the time that they in pleasure spend, 'tis limited to such an honest end, namely, for recreation of the mind, with no great cost, yet liberal in that kind, that pleasure vows with all delights he can, to do them good, till death to be their man.
Of policy they trial have at large.
Then let us go, and each man to his charge.
And exeunt the three lords. So, it's all go. It's all go. It's all sorts. Two scenes effectively happening. Two units of action occurring here. We've got Nemo bringing. Well, the three lords all disagreeing. You know, at the very beginning of the play, they came on. What did they say? They said, "Now, whatever we do, lads, don't let us all fall in love with the same one. Let's agree in advance. choose one each." And what do? They all go for Lady Lucre because she's got money, and so Nemo does a little bit of a trick here with conscience, and sort of tries to lure pleasure into her web, as it were. I don't know. I'm quite sure how that's precisely resolved. It seems like pleasure and conscience are sort of semi-matched up now, but is that actually how it landed, or is it sort of more ambiguous? Simon?
Sorry, I was just actually going to say that I think I see now why maybe it was so kind of small and frivolous at the beginning, because perhaps the whole thing we're going to get to is now maybe the important thing is possibly fighting for your country rather than worrying about foolish kind of things in the world, or even squabbles or petty things. I'm just sorry, I just popped in. It's not a response to your question, but I'm assuming that might be where we're going now. Duty is more important than all these other triflings.
Yes, Lois.
Yeah, it looks as if Conscience decided that she was going to marry pleasure, actually. I mean, she certainly, she paired them all off, and that doesn't appear to have been Nemo's plan, unless he told her beforehand.
Nemo gave her the choice of action, but she goes slightly beyond her remit to a degree. And she doesn't say not, as it were. It's one of those equivocal thing. And then Diligence turns up with the message: "The Spanish are coming. The Spanish are coming." And they have to come up with a response, which is to demonstrate how great we are. It's a really interesting response. It's just going, we're going to display our wonderful English culture. Look at us. We're going to do masks and have puppet plays and kill bears, because that's what makes us great. So it's really interesting what's going on there. This sort of soft
that'll
power.
get us a deal.
Soft power approach. Lois.
I just wondered if that's some sort of reference to Sir Francis Drake Bowling when he heard the news of the Spanish Armada. Wasn't there something like that?
Well, yeah, it obviously feels very Spanish Armada-y. Is it that, within the kingdom, yes, everybody was on a 2 and 8, and but a lot of things carried on as normal, presumably inland. Maybe there's just going, this is how great we are, all this sea stuff's happening and people on the coast getting hit up, but we still had armor and triumphs and exciting and really cool things. I don't know, I'm making this up as I'm going along. Other thoughts in the room? Everyone's stumped.
It really is a Brexit deal.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that yes, the Spanish are coming. They're intending to despoil, the pomp and pleasure and wealth and policy and all of those chaps, and also to tyrannize love, lucre, and conscience, so that it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. Lois.
Yeah, I mean, I have difficulty with this morality element because the allegory doesn't always seem to work. But I take it that here the point is that it's conscience, particularly since, of course, there's a difference of religion here that should be driving them on.
Well, she does give a little speech before she exits, doesn't she?
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. It's working here. The threat to policy and to wealth and all the other things is less important than the threat to their religion.
Yeah, stand up for us, you men. Otherwise, we won't care about you. Yeah, other thoughts? Nobody's got anything on the invading Spanish. Right, okay.
Plot device.
Yeah, well, it's a major swing in the action. We're over halfway through, and they're throwing us a bit of a curveball. We're getting all this love stuff, and where's the affections of the 3 ladies and the 3 lords going to go? And then, yeah, we have this invading Spanish force.
Well, I'll say I'm more interested now if that makes any sense to you, or helps your discussion there. I'm just way more interested now because we have some action. As I say, the only way I can justify it is that perhaps, we've kind of covered it now. We're now rallying for maybe religion, as you said, Lois, for nationhood, for important stuff, for whatever. For God, Harry and St. George, etc.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, moving on, and yes. So you say that you're wanting some action, and yes, we haven't had much action, but I don't think we're getting any action yet either. I mean,
maybe talking about action.
Someone ran on saying there's going to be some action. So there's some action happening over there. And it sort of goes from there. Sorry, it took me a while to find it. Anyway, we will move rapidly on there. Let's move on to what I'm labelling as Scene 6. And we have the reappearance of Simplicity, led by Usury. So one of the vices we met earlier has returned, chatting with Simplicity. Are all the vices going to work, poor Simplicity? Let's just find out.
Sir, why, alas, I bought them of a stranger, an old Frenchman, for good gold, and to be worth £10, for so he told me. I have good witness, for my own wife was by and lent me part of the money.
And what did they cost you?
10 shillings every penny.
That argues you are guilty. Why, could ye buy so many rings and buttons of gold, think ye, for 10 shillings? Of whom did ye buy them?
Of an old Frenchman. The old French disease take him.
And where dwells that old Frenchman?
In France, I think. For he told me he was to go over the next tide. Well, the next day, my wife can tell as well as I, if you think I lie, for she was by.
A good answer. He dwells in France, and you dwell here. And for uttering copper for gold, you are likely to lose both your ears upon the pillory, besides lose your freedom.
Nay, I lose my ears. I care not for my freedom. Keep you my freedom, so I may keep my ears. Is there no remedy for this, Master Usury?
None, except you can find out that old Frenchman.
Well, peradventure I can, if you let me go into France to seek him.
So we may lose you and never see him? Nay, that may not be.
Nay, good Master Usury, take all my goods and let me go.
The matter, Usury, that this poor knave cries so?
Oh, Master Fraud, speak to him to let me go.
Fraud, ye villain! Call me not by my name, and ye shall see I will speak to him to let you go free. Usury, of all old fellowship, let this poor knave pack, if the matter be not too heinous.
No, fie. His fault is odious. Look here what stuff he would utter for gold, flat copper. And he said he bought them of an old Frenchman.
Ah, but thou didst not sell them, didst thou?
No, I would have but laid them to pawn for £5 to him.
Ah, that was more than they were worth. I promise thee a foul matter. Well, thou must lose thy ware, and be glad to escape. So, Usury, at my request ye shall let the poor man go.
Well, for this once I will. Sirrah, get ye packing and take heed of such a piece of work again while ye live.
There is divers pieces of work in that box. Pray ye, give me some of my goods again. A ring or something?
Not an inch. And be glad to escape as ye do.
Alas, I am undone. There's all the wealth and stock I have.
Do ye long to lose your ears? Be gone, ye foolish knave.
Thank you, Master Fraud. I'll not go far, but I'll be near to hear and see what the meaning of these fellows in this canvas should be. For I know fraud, dissimulation, and simony to be those three. Here, I think I am unseen.
And stage direction has simplicity hides him near them, and enter. I didn't read the stage direction. Enter fraud, dissimulation, simony. They're dressed in canvas coats like sailors from when they entered. So another costume note there. But anyway, simplicity is hiding near them in plain sight, probably.
Usury, thank me for this good booty, for it is that I owe ye to it. For I sold them to him for gold indeed, in the shape of an old French artificer. Come, give me half, for I deserve it, for my part was the first beginning of this comedy. I was ever afraid lest a fool should have known me. For ye see now, though disguised, he called me by my name.
Did I so? I am glad I have found the Frenchman. Now I'll raise the street, but I'll have my wares again, and prove ye, as ye were ever, both false knaves, I believe.
And exit simplicity.
Kill him! Stab him! Out, villain! He will betray us all!
What a fool were you to speak before he was gone. Now you have lost your part of this, too, for he will go complain. You will be sought for, and I made to restore these things again.
Not if thou be wise, thou wilt not tarry the reckoning. But seest thou not us three, dissimulation, simony, and myself?
Yes. What means these canvas suits? Will you be sailors?
Usury, make one. This is our intent. Let's see that none hear us now. The Spaniards are coming, thou hearest, with great power. Here is no living for us in London. Men are growing so full of conscience and religion that fraud, dissimulation, and simony are deciphered, and being deciphered are also despised. And therefore we will slip to the sea and meet and join with the enemy. And if they conquer, as they may, for they are a great army by report, our credit may rise again with them. If they fail and retire, We may either go with them and live in Spain, where we and such good fellows are tolerated and used, or come slyly again hither, so long as none knows but friends.
Will you do thus, you two?
And thou too, I hope. Why, what should we do?
Whatsoe'er ye do, be not traitors to your native country.
Sorry, that's easy. 'Tis not our native country, thou knowest. I, Simony, am a Roman. Dissimulation, a mongrel, half an Italian, half a Dutchman. Fraud so, too, half French and half Scottish. And thy parents were both Jews, though thou wert born in London, and here, usury, thou art cried out against by the preachers. Join with us, man, to better thy state. For in Spain preaching toucheth us not.
To better my state? Nay, to alter my state. For here, where I am, I know the government here. I can live for all their threatening. If strangers prevail, I know not their laws nor their usage. They may be oppressors and take all I have, and it is like they are so, for they seek that's not their own. Therefore, here will I stay, sure to keep what I have, rather than be a traitor upon hap. And had I wist, and stay you, if ye be wise, and pray as I pray, that the preachers and all other good men may die, and then we shall flourish, but never trust to strangers' courtesy.
We shall trust but to our friends and kin. You'll not go with us, yet for old acquaintance keep counsel. Betray us not, for we'll be gone to sea. I am afraid yon foolish knave have belayed the streets for us.
Let me go afore ye. If any such thing be, I'll give ye inkling.
And exit Usury.
Do. Farewell, Usury. And as he goes one way, we'll go another. Follow, sirs. Never trust a shrinker, if he be your own brother.
And exit them. End of scene. Yes, so all the bad people are foreigners by extraction. Surprise, surprise. All the xenophobia just starting to leach out now. Yeah, you know it's a play by Robert Wilson now. You can feel it. You can feel it. It's just creeping in. Yeah, so problematic. It's nice that simplicity gets his gets his due, as it were. And his due rights back in his regard, and that's nice to see. But then the villains go on the run, declaring themselves villains in ways that are a bit problematic today. Thoughts in the room, Lois?
Yeah, well, Simplicity hasn't got anything back yet. I mean, one hopes he will, but all that's happened really is that he at least knows who these people are and that they were cheating him. That's about it. Yeah, I was wondering if everybody knew what freedom meant when they say he's going to lose his freedom. It doesn't necessarily mean that he'll go to jail, though he probably will, but it also means he'll lose the right to buy and sell in London, which is what being, a freeman of the city means.
Yes. Though he's more keen on keeping his ears. Yeah, so hue and cry being calling out for these people. Usually he's gone one way, everybody else has gone another, so let's see who gets caught. Eric.
Well, also in the previous play, Usury had actually murdered someone, if I'm not... I think it was honesty or something like that, help or something like that. And,
there was that murder in the middle, wasn't there?
Yeah, and it was kind of like, not even hush-hush, he just killed him and then, like, sort of got away with it.
Yeah, just ran off, didn't he? He just went, I killed him. Yeah, it was a really random bit in the middle of the play, yeah. Other thoughts? No, everyone's holding their counsel here.
It's very stately, isn't it? It's kind of, I don't know how else to put it. It feels very orderly. This is going to happen, and then of course this is going to happen, and then that happens. It's a bit dull, frankly.
It's
bit formulaic.
Yeah, it's holding on to its sort of morality play roots and trying to merge it with some other stuff, and it's a question of how successful it is.
Yeah, if it was like a modern day sort of screenplay, they'd be saying it doesn't know what genre it kind of wants to fall into. But
that's the entire early modern period.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, I must say, like, I don't know, I'm not. This is going to sound very negative, even though it's not meant to. But I'm not hating it.
Good start. We can build on that. Don't hate it. Lois.
No, I'm sorry. I forgot my line as well because I was actually busy. Like, I was quite engaged with what they were saying. I was just thinking, oh, this has really changed. So yeah, no, I think we've definitely tackled worse. Definitely.
You've got to remember, just for context here, Simon really, really hates morality plays. So he always comes in at the best time. Lois.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that it's called a stately moral, and I was trying to figure out whether that meant that it was, as Aliki said, very stately, or whether it's something to do with statecraft and politics or something also coming into it. But yeah, it certainly is generically mixed, and there are times when the allegory really works, and there are times when it doesn't work at all, as far as I can see. And it's funny the way he has it both ways in this last scene, because all these foreigners want Usury to go off with him, and then he says, no, he's not going to do that because, they're saying, well, the great thing about Spain is that we can get away with murder there. They're also immoral. And then Usury says, nah, you can't trust them either because they're foreigners. So I'm going to stay here. I mean, let's just slander everybody in one fell swoop.
Yeah, the thing about an allegory is you can only push it too far. And the moment you start trying to play around with it, as this play's doing, then it can start falling apart quite quickly. I mean, if you keep the allegory quite simple, then you're okay. And it is that thing that other things are going on, and also just simply it feels like that bit is just there for a cheap laugh at that moment, and it doesn't have to make perfect sense in the sense of the overall themes of the play. Anyway, we need to move on. We will go into some additional scenes here. I don't know whether we will get to the end of a scene this session. We're going to keep going until we sort of run out of time on this chunk, because there's quite a lot going on. So remember, the Spanish are coming. So enter the three lords with their pages. Most of the pages don't say anything. And Fealty. We've not met Fealty. Fealty is a herald before them, his coat having the arms of London before and an olive tree behind. So we've got some visual stimulation going on here, as well as presumably lots of exciting costumes. So the three lords, policy, pleasure and pomp, plus Fealty.
Fealty, thou faithful herald of our town, thou true truce keeper and sure friend in peace, take down our shields and give them to our boys. Now, Fealty, prepare thy wits for war, to parley with the proud Castilians approaching fast the frontiers of our coast. Wit here, my page, in every message shall attend on thee, to note them and their deeds. I need not tell thee, they are poor and proud, vaunters, vainglorious, tyrants, truce breakers, envious, ireful, and ambitious. For thou hast found their facings and their brags, their backs their coffers, and their wealth their rags. But let me tell thee what we crave of thee. To scan with judgment what their leaders be, to note their presence and observe their grace, and truly to advertise what they seem, whether to be experienced in arms or men of name, those three that lead the rest refer we to thy own conceit.
I hope in this my duty to discharge as heretofore.
And simplicity makes a great noise within, and enter with 3 or 4 weaponed. So enter simplicity.
Clubs! Nay, come, neighbours, come, for here they be. Here I left them, arrant thieves, rogues, cozeners. I charge ye as you will answer, prehend them, for they have undone me, and robbed me, and made me the poorest freeman that ever kept a balance stall.
I charge you keep the peace and lay down your weapons.
Who raised this tumult? Speak, What means this stir?
Oh, I am undone, robbed, spoiled of all my stock. Let me see, with me they keep every street and door, examine all that comes for fraud, that cozener.
Masters, what mean you in these troublous times to keep this coil?
Alas, my lord, here's a poor man robbed or cozened.
I am robbed. Oh, my boys, my pretty boys. I am undone. So are ye no thieves, nor no crafty knaves? What be all these?
Simplicity, away! These be our lords. Offend them not for fear.
I seek not them. I seek for fraud that robbed me. I seek for fraud.
Pleasure.
Go seek elsewhere, for here's no place for such.
My friends, depart and qualify this stir and see peace kept within the walls, I charge you.
I will, my lord. Come, Simplicity, we came too late to find your losses.
Oh, pray for me, my boys. I think I shall hang myself. I come ever too late to spend.
And exit Simplicity. Poor Simplicity.
Now, lords, let honour's fire inflame our thoughts, and let us arm our courage with our cause, and so dispose ourselves to welcome them. Do me the favour, if I may entreat, to be the first to front the foe in face. The vanguard let be policies this once. Pomp's the main battle, pleasure's the rearward, and so bestow us if you think it good.
I think it good, and time that it were done.
I think it good and wish the enemy come.
Enter Diligence.
And here they come, as brave as Philip's son and his Hephaestion wont to be arrayed, in glittering gold and party-coloured plumes, with curious pendants on their lances fixed, their shields impressed with gilt compartments, their pages careless playing at their backs as if conquest they triumphing came.
If they be conquered, greater is their shame. But, Diligence, go post along the coast to tell the news, and look to welcome them. Let us alone. My lords, you hear the news. More words were vain. I know ye well resolved.
Exit Diligence.
And here they come, O proud Castilians.
And here we have the most epic of stage directions, so pay attention, everybody. So, enter first Shealty, the herald, then Pride, bearing his shield himself, his impress a peacock, the word nonpareil. His page is Shame, after him with a lance having a pendant gilt, with his word on it, Sur Lucule. Ambition enters, his impress a black horse salient, with one hinder foot upon the globe of the earth, one forefoot stretching towards the clouds, his word non sufficit orbis. His page is Treachery after him, his pendant argent and azure, an armed arm catching at the sunbeams, the word in it, et gloriam Phoebe. Last enters Tyranny, his impress, a naked child on a spear's point, bleeding. His word, Pour sangue. His page is Terror, his pendant guiles. In it a tiger's heart out of a cloud, licking a bloody heart, and the word in it, Cura crure. March once about the stage, then stand and view the lords of London, who shall march towards them, and they give back, and then the lords of London wheel about to their standing, and the other come again into their places. Lots of marching back and forth, basically. Come and have a go if you think you're hard enough. Then policy sends Fealty. Their herald's coat must have the arms of Spain before, and a burning ship behind.
My lords, what mean these gallants to perform? Come these Castilian cowards but to brave? Do all these mountains move to breed a mouse? Fealty, go fetch their answer resolute, how they dare be so bold, and what they dare do here.
And as Fealty is going toward them, they send forth Shealty.
What would thou, herald?
Parley with those three, herald.
They scorn to grace so mean a man as thou with parley or with a presence.
Do they scorn? What, are they masters, monarchs, every one? Or be they gods, or rather be they devils? Scorn they a herald's presence and his speech? Name them that I may know their mightiness, and so avoid of duties some neglect.
Monarchs in minds and gods in high conceits that scorn you English as the scum of men, whom I need dare without their license name, for whom thy duties all are few and base.
Imperious Spaniard, do a herald right, thyself art one, their trouchman if thou be. Be thou my trump, that I my message may through thee convey to them from London's lords.
Base English groom from beggars sent belike, who for their mate the malapert account, dare I, think'st thou, these lords magnificent, without their especial pleasure understood, once move with message or with show of speech, a speech.
More servile thou to lose a herald's due, that is in field a king's companion. But if thou dare not my embassage do, stand by and stop not my access to them.
Rather will I return and know their minds.
When Shealty goes to them, wit goes to the three lords of London.
Now, boy, what news?
The fearful herald of yon famous crew durst not your message to his masters tell, till Fealty with contumelious words, yet was the Spaniard brave and hot in terms, enforced him for their answer resolute.
The Spaniards whisper with their herald.
Which now belike our herald shall receive, for theirs comes to him.
Pleaseth them to be magnifical, and of their especial graces to vouchsafe a counter view of pages and of shields and counter message, by us heralds done, a favour which they seldom grant to foes. Go thou for those. I meet thee will with these.
My lords, yon braving Spanish wish a counterview of pages and of shields, but what they mean or be, I know not yet. Haply, you may by their impress view, or I by parley some conjecture give, so please it you your pages and your shields with me to send. Their herald comes with theirs.
Our shields I reck not, but to send our wealth.
Accompanied with wit and will, no peril.
'Tis my wealth, but keep him if they dare. I'll fetch him double if they do, my lords.
Boys, take our shields and spears, for they come on.
Hail, Spaniard, couch thy lance and pendant both. Know'st where thou art? Here will we bear no braves.
Now, when the English boys meet the other, cause them to put down the tops of their lances, but they beat up theirs. And there we're just going to briefly pause. We've got the lineup of one side. We've got the lineup of the other. The Spanish. There's a lot of Spanish. I think we can call them extras because they don't seem to have any dialogue apart from Shealty, who speaks to them, and it's like, go off and don't say anything because then we'd have to pay them more. Just stand there looking fierce because we have all this description. All this great description, treachery and terror and tyranny. None of them say anything.
It's the most beautifully described setup without payoff ever committed.
And then you get this weird parley. Yeah, my lot say this. Oh yeah, my lot says this. But what's this agreement about the boys? So they send wealth, wit, and will to do what? And then what does that stage direction at the end mean? When the English boys meet the other, cause them to put down the tops of their lances, but they beat up theirs.
Who is theirs? It's like the antecedents for these pronouns. I'm lost.
Yeah, it's a very confusing. Something's happening to do with and is it they knock down the others, or is what's going on? I'll go with Lois then Alan, see if anyone has an answer.
Well, judging from the lines that follow, the Spanish pages have to lower their lances, and the English ones beat them down. So it's a kind of symbolic fight, and the kids win. I mean, the English kids win, showing, of course, their vast superiority even to the pages.
Alan, then Simon.
Yeah, I mean, it basically sending the poor bloody infantry. We don't want to send anybody posh, send in the commoners. And I think it would be something you would need to workshop to work out how it looks best in terms of which side end up with the lances in which position. But the final position has got to be, I think, with the English lads with pikes levelled at the opposition. And whether the others are lances up in the air or lances down to the ground would be a matter of what visually works best on the stage that you're working with.
Yeah, Simon.
Yeah, I can't really see another explanation, but obviously, as you said, the infantry advance, and then the Spaniards are ho! I would assume that would be that, because that would be putting down the tops of their lances. So I can't see anything else other than that. And then there's a little standoff, obviously, and then a little bit of.
Yeah. So we'll read on a little bit more. We're not going to finish this scene. We don't have time, but we'll get a little deeper into it. I'll ask Simon just to briefly read Wealth, and Alan to read Will briefly. It's the next two lines. I don't think you speak again as we go forward. So we've had the English boys meeting the other boys. Something to do with lances going up and down has occurred. Wealth followed by Will before Fealty and Shealty speak, and Pride follows.
Down with your point. No loft-born lances here by any stranger, be he foe or friend.
Well, dost thou note the couching of thy lance? Mine had ere this, else gorged your Spanish skin.
Well done, my boys, but now all reverence.
Advance again your lances now, my boys!
Dicite nobis sedio, que ades. Quid sibi valentes tec emblemata, dicito in quam lingua naterna, nos enim omnes belli intelligimus, quam vis Anglice loqui dedinamur.
Then know, Castilian cavalieros, this. The owners of these emblems are 3 lords, those 3 that now are viewing of your shields. Of London, our chief city, are they lords. Policy, Pomp, and Pleasure be their names, and they, in honor of their mistresses, Love, Lucre, Conscience, London ladies 3, emblazoned these scutcheons, challenging who durst compare or challenge one of them. And Policy a tortoise hath impressed, encompassed with her shell, her native walls, and Providence Securus is his word. His page is Wit, his mistress Lady Love. Pomp in his shield a lily hath portrayed, as paragon of beauty and boon grace. Glorie sans pair is his word, and true it is. With London's Pomp Castile cannot compare. His page is Wealth, his mistress Lucre hight. Pleasure, the dainty of that famous town, a falcon hath emblazoned, soaring high, to show the pitch that London's pleasure flies. His word pourtant, yet never stops to train, but unto Conscience, chosen for his dear, his page is Will, and thus the effect you hear.
Buena por los Lutheranos ingleses.
Mala per Catholicos Castellanos.
O loqueris Anglice.
Maxime Domine.
Agendum, go to then and declare thy lords, their shields, their pages, and their purpose. Speak, man, fear not. Though Spain use messengers ill, 'tis England's guise to entreat them courteously.
3 caballeros castellanos here, without compeers in compass of this world, are come to conquer, as full well they shall, this molehill isle, that little England height, with London, that proud paltry market town, and take those dames, love, lucre, conscience, prisoners, to use or force as it pleaseth them. The first, now quake, is the Spanish majesty, that for his impress gives Queen Juno's bird, whose train is espanged with Argus 100 eyes. The queen of gods scorns not to grace him so. His word is nonpareil, none his like. Yet is his page or henchman modesty. Lucre the lady, that shall be his prize. And in his pendant on his lance's point, sur le ciel his word, above the heavens.
Willamay, indeed, above the heavens he was, could he have kept him in that blessed state. From thence, for pride, he felt a pit of pain, and is he now become the pride of Spain? And to his page, not modesty, but shame. Well, on the rest.
Don Hodder is the next grand peer of Spain, whose impress is a courser salient of color sable, darkening air and earth, oppressing the globe with his disdainful foot, and sallying to aspire to rolling skies. Non suffit orbis is his haughty word. The world sufficeth not high honor's thoughts. And on the pendant, fixed on his lance, a hand is catching at the sunny beams at gloriam Phoebe, and the sun's bright coach honor would guide, if he might have his will. His page is action, tempering still with estate.
Himself ambition, whom the heavens do hate.
And love the lady that he hopes to gain.
His thoughts, distract from foul distempered brain, proves him the very firebrand of Spain. And in his shield, his black disordered beast, scaling the skies, scornful to tread the ground, and both his words, proud words, prove perfectly action his page to be but treachery, ever attendant on ambition. But to the third,
the third Gran Caballero is government, severe in justice and in judgment deep. His impress is a naked infant, gored upon a lance, signifying severity. His word, por sangue, for blood of enemies, he bends his forces. On his pendant is a tiger, licking of a bleeding heart, and cura cruor is the word thereon, his cares for blood of those that dare resist. Yet hide his page that follows him, regard, and he for conscience to this conquest comes.
The government of Spain is tyranny, as do his impress and his words declare. His page is terror, for a tyrant fears his death in diet, in his bed, in sleep. In conscience spite, the Spanish tyranny hath shed a sea of most unguilty blood. Well, what's the end?
The end is best you yield, submitting you to mercy of these lords.
For we fight. Soft, sir, ye brave too fast. Castilians, know that Englishmen will knock, that say, does Spanish pride for London's Lucre gape?
And would their tyranny conscience captive have?
Doth their ambition London's love affect?
All this they will, and prey upon your town, and give your lands away before your face. Alas, what is England to the power of Spain? A molehill, to be placed where it pleaseth them.
But in this molehill many pismires be, all of which will sting before they be removed. What is thy name?
Shealty.
An Irish word signifying liberty. Rather remissness, looseness, if you will. Why hath thy coat a burning ship behind?
To signify the burning of your fleet by us Castilians.
It rather means your commonwealth's on fire about your ears, and you had best look home. A commonwealth's compared to a ship. If yours do flame, your country is hot. Beware.
I see, Castilians, that you marvel much at this same emblem of this olive tree upon my back. Lo, this it signifies. Spain is in wars, but London lives in peace. Your native fruit doth wither on your soil, and prospers where it never planted was. This London's fealty doth avouch for truth. Herald of war and porter of their peace, command ye me no service to my lords?
Quid tu condominus mox servietis miseri nobis distiede?
Quid mihi cum dominis servietis miseri meis?
Shealty, say unto yon Thrasos 3, the lords of London, dare them to the field, pitying their pride and their ambition, scorning their tyranny, and yet fearing this, that they are come from home and dare not fight. But if they dare, in joint or several arms, battle or combat, him that Lucre seeks, your Spanish pride, him dare I from the rest.
That bloody cur, your Spanish tyranny, that London's conscience would force with cruelty, I challenge him, for conscience sake to fight, a lord of London, and I pleasure hight. And Shealty, when citizens dare them thus, judge what our nobles and our courtiers dare.
Say, if thou wilt, that London's policy discerns that proud ambition of Spain, and for he comes inflamed with London's love in combat, let him conquer me and have her. This is love's favour, I her servant am.
This Lucre's favour, Pomp for her will fight.
This conscience favour, she my mistress is.
You craven English on your dunghills crow.
You Spanish peasants, crow upon your perch, but when we fire your coats about your ears and take your ships before your walled towns, we make a dunghill of your rotten bones and cram our chickens with your grains of gold.
You will not yield?
Yes, the last month.
Farewell.
Retire heralds with the pages to their places.
Vade.
Herald, how now?
Yon proud Castilians look for your service.
So do we for theirs. But Fealty, canst thou declare to me the cause why all their pages follow them, when ours in show do ever go before?
In war they follow, and the Spaniard is warring in mind.
But that's not now the cause. Yon three are pride, ambition, tyranny. Shame follows pride, as we a proverb have. Pride goes before, and shame comes after. Treachery ever attends upon ambition, and terror always with a fearful watch doth wait upon ill-conscienced tyranny. But why stay we to give them space to breathe? Come, courage, let us charge them all at once!
Let the three lords pass toward the Spaniards, and the Spaniards make show of coming forward and suddenly depart.
What braving cowards these Castilians be. My lords, let's hang our scutcheons up again and shroud ourselves, but not far off, unseen, to prove if it may draw them to some deed, be it to batter our impressed shields.
Agreed. Here, Fealty, hang them up a space.
So they hang up their shields and step out of sight. The Spaniards then come and flourish their rapiers near them, but touch them not, and then hang up theirs, which the lords of London perceiving, take their own and batter theirs. The Spaniards, making a little show to rescue, do suddenly slip away and come no more.
Facing, faint-hearted, proud and insolent, that bear no edge within their painted sheaths, that durst not strike our silly patient shields.
Up have they set their own, see? If we dare, batter on them and beat their braving lords.
Let them not yonder hang unhacked, my lords.
With good advice, that we be not surprised.
And good enough myself will onset give on prides. At your peacock, sir.
At tyrannies will I bestow my blow, wishing the master.
I at ambition strike. Have at his pampered jade.
Enter Pride.
Foro veliardos, foro lutheranos ingleses, fuero, sa.
Their shields are ours. They fled away with shame. But lordings, While the stratagem is fresh, and memory of their misfortune green, their hearts yet fainting with the novel grief, let us pursue them flying, if you say it. Haply we may prevent their passage yet.
With speed and heed, the matter must be done.
Therefore you, policy, shall our leader be.
And they exit, having won the game of capture the flag. I mean, it's basically, yeah, they hang up their shields and sneak away. The Spaniards don't hit their shields, but they sort of sneak off. And then the Spaniards hang up their shields and they go out and then they just beat them. And yeah, and that's following on from basically 2 pages of footnotes explaining the visual signification going on stage.
It must be an excuse to get some dance in.
I don't even. Yeah, it's really interesting that basically Shealty is there to explain why everyone's costumed as they are, and to explain the meaning of all the shields. And policy explains all the shields that they've got again. We've already had it once. In fact, we may have had it twice in this play. And so the policy explains their shields again, and then we get the Spanish, and then why does he ask? Why? But Fealty, canst thou declare to me the cause why all their pages follow them when ours in it? Let me explain what their pages mean. It's like it's just called walking footnotes. I was just sitting there,
Talk about exposition as dialogue, right?
Yeah, but it's not even exposition. It's explaining the visual metaphors, and it's just I don't care.
I
like the fact the stage looks good. I like the setup. I like the pointless business. I don't have a problem with any of that. I like the fact you've got these 2 heralds talking because they can't afford any more actors to actually speak. I like all of that. It's just ridiculously excessive, and I'm not often very negative about these things. But it's just when Pomp asks the question, and I go, I know what he's going to do. He's going to explain the pages now. No, please don't. Oh God, at least it was short. But good business, good stuff. Good stuff. Okay. But yeah, we got the shield action. The shields have been hung up all this time, remember? So, the fact we get a call back to that. I don't know whether anyone's taken the stones off, whether they're still on stage. So yeah, we went a little further than planned. We did actually get to the end of the scene, because I kind of didn't have the heart to stop anyone. Great work from Pride there. I really liked Pride. Pride was great. I got some of it. But the intention carried it all. Eric.
I love how the explanation for the heralds is the visual thing rather than going, yeah, they're poor, so they're lower station, therefore we're going to make them go first so that they get killed first. Yeah, they don't do the status thing.
Yeah. Yon 3 are pride, ambition, and tyranny. It is also slightly reminding me of civic entertainment, actually, and that kind of thing where you have these emblems and you have this exposition that occurs. But to do it in a play is a very weird context to put it in that sense. But maybe the audience then is much more used to this kind of thing. I've been very negative. I'm going to stop now. Lois, then Lynn.
I have a feeling they probably love this kind of thing because it does turn up in quite a few plays. I mean, Edward II would be a good example, I think, where they have all these symbolic things which are all meant to insult Gaveston, in fact, and as he realizes immediately, well, as the king realizes. And I think there's a lot more of that one could mention, but it gets into the wrong territory. Yeah, I was interested in the fact that, Shealty, which I thought was just some sort of name. It's so much like, the sort of thing we do anyway, eating, schmeating, but it turns out to be a real Irish word. Is it really? I mean, somebody would probably know because it's linking the Spaniards with the Irish, which of course they did anyway.
I think it's an Irish surname.
Yeah, sorry, going again, Stephen?
I think it's an Irish surname.
And it works really nice as Shealty too, for the guy who explains all the shields.
I have 2 experts I can ask downstairs when we're over, and I'll let you know.
Yes, it's a day when we've managed not to have any of our Irish contingent online. Lynn, then Stephen.
Yeah, actually, part of what I was going to say was asking about Shealty, because I've heard of Fealty before, obviously loyalty or devotion or whatever, but I've never heard the word Shealty, so that is still a question to be answered. The other thing I was just going to remark is that despite the fact that they kind of pound on what all the symbolism is, maybe a little much, I have to say I really enjoyed the over the topness of the arrogance of the symbolism in the Spaniards' coats of arms. You know, the world is not enough, and above the sky, and the blood of children, and you know, it's such exaggerated. You know, we're the best. You know, Spanish Catholic arrogance. It's just I thought it was really funny, and I think it's so extreme that it kind of sends up heraldry more generally too. I think as part of what's going on.
Well, it's the fact that, you know, the Spanish side are trying to make themselves sound better than they are, in the English side see through them and go, "That's not your real name. It is a lie. You are you're not a good person. You are bad. You are ambition. You're not honour, you're ambition," and things like that, which again is feeding into that morality thing of people disguising themselves as different people. Stephen, then Simon.
Yeah, back to Lois's point, I suppose. I'm wondering two things. One is, can the audience see all this stuff? And is that why they're having it all explained to them? But the other is, it's an awfully big investment to have a load of customized shields. You know, the English history play, you know, that you can get by with not too many of these for the various kind of noble houses, and they get reused and reused and reused. So I'm wondering if maybe this is a sign that this has had more than one iteration, that it's already popular, that this is part of an edition. You know, this is something to jazz it up, possibly after 1588. I don't know. You know, the way in which so much care seems to be given to it. But if we're into the idea that, you know, it gets an outing once a month, and then maybe if we're lucky another month, it's a huge investment. There's sort of investment later on, like in the 90s, that people make for big revivals, and they pay for extra costumes or that sort of thing. So I'm just wondering about the expense of it, really, from a stage management point of view, because they're going to be no use for anything else.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting. Yeah, if we're assuming that, you know, the first play was successful enough that this is you know, becomes part of their repertoire, and the Queen's Men pick up, you know, get this one written as well. That there's enough interest in this material, at least with some of the costuming, presumably is following on from the other play, but then we have this set piece where they can throw their money at, and how much all this potentially costs, and costing potentially extras. I mean, I haven't figured out the doubling. It doesn't actually look complicated doubling wise. Actually, it's just whoever's not speaking can be on. But yeah, there's all sorts of questions there I really like. Simon, then Lois.
Sure. My point was going to be about something else, but just to say what Stephen was just saying, it's interesting because I wonder, therefore, maybe whether we do never see any of this, because you're right, the expense would be vast to kind of come up with all of those. So perhaps that's the reason it's such massive exposition, is that we paint the picture in the eyes, in the minds of everyone. I don't know, but yeah, my point was going to be, I'm wondering if all of that heraldry kind of feeds into all the stuff about the gowns and everything. And if you think about the kind of the perception of Catholicism as being about idolatry and kind of and glamour and all of the stuff that adds onto religion, not the kind of the simplicity, I'm wondering if it's so over the top, so overblown, as a kind of because they're Spanish, obviously, and because of course what you're saying about the religious arguments at the time. I'm wondering if it's yet another kind of working very hard to see it, but another kind of damnation of Catholicism. Perhaps it's yet more over the topery.
Well, it's
That's a way to say it.
Sitting on top of the Spanish Armada. What's really interesting about this scene is it's really a good chance to shout at the Spanish. And get the last word. Always get the last word. Even though nobody really gets killed and nothing really happens, and it's just a bit of a slagging match, there's possibly something very satisfying. At the of this. I mean, actually, I did feel that despite my qualms at bits of it, I did feel that the way Policy's dialogue worked, and actually the momentum of that, and the sort of it does have an energy to it that works really, really quite nicely, and the sense of these two sides meeting and hurling insults.
But it's kind of plain. It's like plain for me. Like if I extend that metaphor, if you indulge me, like it's like a plain speaking kind of. He's almost calling it, like putting the rug out of Pride's feet every time, and it's almost calling it for kind of the rubbish that it is, in a weird way.
Yeah, I think there might be a lot of that in there. Lois.
Yeah. I was sort of wondering how they did these shields, whether, I think technically you're supposed to paint on the shield itself, but you could, I suppose, just have a set of shields and then canvas or something and just keep painting whatever scutcheon you needed for each one, which wouldn't be quite such an expense if you had anybody that could do a bit of painting.
Yeah, there might be ways of making this look impressive with a lot of stock material. And we can assume they've got lots of shields lying around and things, so they're just not necessarily painted. So yeah, there might be a whole series of things that could be done. I say we can assume with a lot of the characters that their costuming already exists for the previous play if it's in revival with this as well. So in a sense, you've got split costs potentially between two separate texts. So it's a matter of where you put your money in terms of investment in elements like this. It's nowhere as extensive as, say, Looking Glass for London and England, which is full-on ridiculous, over-the-top extravaganza. Though different company. Just imagine trying to tour this one. Queen's Men is primarily a touring company. This one could be an absolute sod. You can see, somewhere in the up north, you don't get all of the shields and you don't get all of the many Spanish. You just get Fealty and Shealty, and everybody else is off stage. Describe the scene from over there. This is the director's cut. I'm not going to do final thoughts from all the room. I'm just going to go if anyone's got any primary thoughts, because most of you are back again tomorrow. I will be mean and say final thoughts to Eleanor, who's not coming back tomorrow. So this is your final session with us on this play. So do you have any sort of general overall thoughts about this session or last session, both sessions together? What do you think's going to happen at the end?
This session's better than yesterday's session, in my opinion. It grew on me. I was like, oh, there's some fun stuff. Then the xenophobia hit, and I went, oh no, let's not do that. And then the fighting with the Spaniards hit, and I was like, this is okay. This is great. So it's just an absolute whirlwind of lots of action and lots of funny French accents that I should take off my CV, and lots of Spanish accents, which were fantastic. I liked this one more. I think it's going to be the happy ending, isn't it? Because I read a little bit that Nemo is going to come back and bring the ladies in. So it's okay, well done. You beat the foreigners. Clap, clap, clap. You can now have the amazing British ladies who have all been redeemed. Yes, please and thank you. Here, end of the scene. And it's what Robert Wilson would have wanted. So there we go.
Yeah. Anyone want to definitely leap in with any final thought? I'm not going to go around the whole room. Eric.
For some reason, it's just very Monty Python-esque, like the whole sort of, it could be a really crap, low-budget production of something, but it's sort of, all the description is not. It's just this whole sort of, it's like that thing with that scene with the coconuts and sort of, the French soldier in Monty Python. and it's just it gets weirder and weirder. But also, if you compare it to the first play, it's all the stuff that men are expected to do in society, sort of, fight wars, manage money. Obviously, simplicity does it very badly. But like sort of, whereas in the first one we had sort of more, what's it called? Sort of female professions. We had like Lucre managing, we're not entirely sure what, and lots of other stuff going on that was kind of nefarious, which is a very interesting juxtaposition.
Okay. Any other comments more about this play or the play overall? Want to throw in at the very, very end? As I say, everybody else I think is back tomorrow, so and it's a relatively short session, so hold your fire. I'm going to say, hold your fire till tomorrow. Hold that thought, keep it in your mind, and we'll come back again next time. So we got one more session. We've got a relatively short session. We rattled through quite a lot of text in these first two sessions. So we got the conclusion of the play, and we're going to find out whether those dastard Spanish people, because let's also remember they're being a bit xenophobic to the Spanish there as well. I mean, okay, at the time they had cause, but there's generally the English are great, aren't they? Aren't they great? That's sort of what the play's going for at the moment. Answers on a postcard on that one. So all that remains is to thank all the wonderful readers today, and remains for me to say goodbye.
Bye now.